So I use the London Lash.
Hello and welcome to Business ABC. But the number one reason why businesses fail, whether they are starting or scaling or growing, is because of money. And when you go to them with an idea, they will always go, "Oh, great idea. Oh, vadya." The best businesses either fix something or they make them better. Where it's legal or where it's contract, take your time.
Hello, Dr. Anand here to tell you about unleashing your inner power. When you talk on Facebook with someone with your family far away, genuine communication takes place. Just look after yourself and grow in power and grow in finance and grow in status. If you stay in your comfort zone, you'll never find out who you are.
मुल्क के दूसरे शहरों की तरह ननकाना साहब में भी जो गर्मी का ज़ोर जारी है, पारा जो है 40 से 44 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड तक पहुंच चुका है और महकमा मौसमियात की जानिब से आइंदा जो चंद रोज़ है उसमें भी गर्मी की शिद्दत बढ़ने का इम्कान है। गर्मी की शिद्दत बढ़ने के साथ साथ जो हीट वेव है इसमें भी काफ़ी इजाफा हो गया है। तिब्बी माहिरीन के मुताबिक इस गर्मी की शिद्दत से बचने के लिए लोग घरों से कम निकलें। अगर निकलना मजबूरी हो तो सर ढाँप कर निकलें। 12 बजे से लेकर 4 बजे के दरमियान बच्चे और बुजुर्ग भी घरों से कम निकलें। दूसरी जानब महकमा तालीम की जानब से 28 मई से सरकारी स्कूलों में तातीलात का ऐलान भी कर दिया गया है, जबकि रेस्क्यू 1112 और महकमा सेहत के अमले को भी हाई अलर्ट रहने के अहकाम जारी कर दिए गए हैं।
And so it was my first time, again, where you've got these two languages and you're not only able to speak. Culture didn't get it across. Hand signals didn't get it across. And so languages and communication after the Falklands was a huge thing for me. And it was like getting into education. So anyway, we comes back from the Falklands, we sails back, takes weeks. And at that time, you then understand that some lads had suffered from it. It changed them in different ways about what had happened. Some had matured, some had lost weight, some had put weight on. 90% of them had lost weight. But we get back home, there's a huge fanfare. Everybody's glad to see you. We get back to Plymouth and we enjoying life. Packing our bags, accounting for everything, getting back into our routine. Over about 10 days, then it's time to go home. And the whole of the country is waiting for their local servicemen to come home. So I drives home, drives into the street. I hired a car. There was 4 guys in the car. I dropped the first one off. The street was absolute mayhem waiting for him to come home. Everybody was cheering, loving him, kissing him, hugging him, banging on the car, and off I went. Dropped the next one off, then the next one off. And I got to my street and I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I've done it 3 times already. And so I went in the street, the back way, and parked my car outside the house at the little side road. And not a lot of people would see me come in. And my mum and dad made me walk back out into the front street and say hello to everybody, and people hugging and kissing and saying hello and glad to see you back, and back into the house, and the house was full and the party was ongoing, and it was great. And after a few days everything calmed down, and it's times like that when you're by yourself and you've come down, your head starts to think about what you've been through, what you've done, the toll on your body, the toll on your head, about where you are, what space you're in. And so what we'd done was everybody had shared phone numbers before we'd left. So we started talking to each other, and we're all in the same situation. And unfortunately, life being what it is, everybody was asking everybody the same question. Did you kill anybody? Did you kill anybody? What was it like? Well, the one thing you want to do when you come home is forget about it. And the one thing everybody wanted to do was remind you about what happened. And then some strange characters come up and talk to you. there was a huge club in Sunderland called the Farringdon Working Men's Club, and I went in there and people spoke to me I didn't know, and they were all servicemen who'd been in the Second World War, a lot of them, and it was like, alright son, how are you doing? And they were asking real good questions. How are you? How's it going to affect you? You can come and, if you have any problems, you can come and talk to me. You know where I live. I live on the corner, I'm up the road, I'll watch you any time of the day. And these people, old men, were saying things like, any time of the day and night, just come and knock on my door and I'll be there for you. Guys who've been in conflict, Second World War, understood where you were and what you were doing, where your head was. So anyway, we'll go back to talking among friends I'd been there with, and we were talking to each other by phone, and eventually a couple of them arrived at my house in their car, and we went down to the Sunderland town centre. We went into Hayes Travel and said to the girl, I want to go on holiday and I want to go now. And this girl behind the counter saying, my God, I've always wondered if anybody would come in and say that. So we got a flight out of Manchester that afternoon and flew to Benidorm in Spain, where we holidayed and had a great time. Just three lads going there, having a drink, quiet, doing our own thing, and enjoyed ourselves. But we had 6 weeks off, so it was good, but it was time to go back. And when we went back, shall we say, a lot of people were very different. You know, experiences people had had, things they'd done, things that had happened at home that they couldn't cope with. Some people had actually gone back to camp early, so you had 6 weeks off. Some guys had actually gone back after 4 weeks, 5 weeks, because they just wanted to be among their friends again. That's why this bonding comes into it. So my time in the army after the Falklands was good. I was promoted again, thoroughly enjoyed life, moved on through engineering, went to work in Canada, spent a lot of time in Canada, and one of the jobs we got there was building recovering a World War II bombing range, because the ground was really soft. A lot of bombs hadn't gone off, they'd just gone into soft ground. We had to go in, extract them, neutralise them so they could use the land. And that was a really good job, 4 to 6 months, absolutely class. Again, we were using our Arctic experience of working in really cold weather, because you can walk really across the soft ground and when it freezes. So I spent another 2-3 years in the army and then out. Enough. And coming out of the army, I went into engineering and worked for a company that repaired bridges. So that was a big change. A big change for me. So that repairing bridges, I would go anywhere, and that was different. See, you brought a lot of your military bearing into a civilian company, and people were saying, you'll go there for 3 weeks. Yeah, I've been away for 3 months, 4 months at a time. Why would it worry me going somewhere for 3 weeks? So I was quickly promoted there, because I was always on site, could do the job. And next thing you know, I'm travelling around Europe with the managing director, a bit like my old commanding officer, understanding what each other needed, getting the job done, finishing the job, and then coming away. Real good team. And then in 1990, what would be about 93, I was asked to go to China. So in 93, went to China, and again this language thing hit me, like, wow, I've got to learn this. And when I seen China in 1993, I decided this country's going somewhere, it's developing. The education that people had was phenomenal. But we hadn't seen it in the West until you actually went into China. So I was working in the city of Guangzhou for a couple of months. And what I saw there was a developing country, people hungry for information, Not necessarily rich people, just thousands of them. It was busy 24 hours a day because you couldn't move during the day. So people worked at night and moved trucks at night and moved equipment and food, everything moved during the night that was of any size. And so you're then seeing the seeds of China.
Hello and welcome to Business ABC. But the number one reason why businesses fail, whether they are starting or scaling or growing, is because of money. And when you go to them with an idea, they will always go, "Oh, great idea. Oh, vadya." The best businesses either fix something or they make them better. Where it's legal or where it's contract, take your time.
And little did I know, at that stage, I would spend in all 23 years living there. But that wasn't to be the case starting in 1993 because I finished the job and then we moved off. I went back to the UK. Someone else was sent. It was a management decision because I was needed elsewhere. And so 6 months later, I find myself working in Russia. And that was totally different. Again, I got my head in my books. I went to night school. I went to Russia for 3 years, every year, for 3 consecutive years. I went for 4 months. And I worked there from sort of end of September, October, November, maybe into December. And Russia was fantastic. We worked just outside Red Square on a big bridge called Moskvovetsky Most. And we worked for a company called Moskva Most. And this was, I was working for the local government. And it was unbelievable because there was lots of things going on and nobody did anything about it. You said, that can't be legal. But the people there in Russia were so restricted because one day we were working for the government and they said, right, we need you to go to the other side of Moscow to look at this bridge. Right. So they gave us a police car. So he gets in this police car and goes to the other side of Moscow, and coming back will get stopped. So, why? The police were very interested that this Russian policeman had 2 English guys in the back of the car. But believe it or not, a police car, they knew it by the number plate, couldn't go from one side of the city to the other. Even police cars had areas that they could live in and work. And so you got to understand that this one-party state was very different to what you were used to. So it's really funny because we're working on Moskvovetsky Most, and below it is the garages for the Public Security Bureau or the Secret Police. And it's a huge bridge, river in the middle, and there's 2 arches. And so we cuts out to put a new expansion joint in, and looking down through the gap we can see BMWs and Mercedes. Wow. We'll have to go down and talk to the guy and tell him to move all the cars, because as we're digging this new expansion joint in the bridge, which is actually a gap so rocks can fall through, he'll have to move all those cars away. So I guess grabs the interpreter, Sergey, we have to go down and talk to him. I'm not going down there. Sergey, we've got to talk to this guy. So grabs the interpreter and down we go, we knocks on the door. Talk to this guy. Look, you've got to move the cars. Why? Sergey's trying to tell him. And then all of a sudden, the guy comes back and says to us, don't worry about the bricks, it's not a problem. What? The cars are bulletproof. But no, it'll take the paint off, for God's sake. Don't. That was really funny, that. The cars are bulletproof, the rocks will not hurt them. So in the end, we had to stop the work, get somebody more senior who understood what was going on. But we worked on that bridge, and Moskvovetsky Most is the big bridge, sits outside Krasnoy Ploshchad, which is the Kremlin. And after we finished that bridge, there was a German guy landed an aeroplane on it and taxied into Red Square. And that was the whole of the Russian Air Force. He'd gone round them and landed in Moscow on our bridge that we'd made nice and level and smooth. And what the Russians did was they put wires across and put electric bus route on it so nobody could ever do it again. It was really clever. So that was sort of 95. That was me. I'd gone from England, across to China, up into Moscow, and that was me for 95, 96, 97. Every year, go to Moscow to work. So I'd go to Moscow, get all the equipment ready, and then we worked on the Moscow-St. Petersburg link. So we would drive out of Moscow and drive up towards St. Petersburg, doing every bridge. And what we've seen, and huge bridges and infrastructure going on, was absolutely phenomenal. But health and safety, being what it is in Russia, it's very different from the UK. And so I decided that the men knew enough, They knew what to do. Very often I was just the guy that got them through the politics of this is the way it's got to be done. They had to become stronger and do it themselves. And I decided working like 500-600 kilometers outside Moscow wasn't safe. There wasn't a hospital nearby. I didn't like the look of the local medical establishments. So it was time for me to go home. So I came home from Russia in '97. And within a few weeks, the boss man said, will you go back to China? So I went back to China in 1998 and landed in Guangzhou in Baiyun Airport, which was in the middle of the city. And so, being a team player, always trying to sort things out, being an organised kind of guy, it wasn't very long till I found a pub, got my life in order. I found an English pub in the middle of a Chinese city, which was actually only 200 yards from my house. I had a nice little apartment, which is just 2 beds, great, all I needed. And we were going to build this road. 37.5 kilometers of elevated road in a city centre in China, and it was going to be done in a year and a half. Unbelievable. It's called Guangzhou Inner Ring Road, and it was fantastic. The teamwork, the camaraderie, working with these Chinese guys, training them, was something different. We'll go on to that in the future. So anyway, I'd like to thank you again for listening, and I will see you again. Thank you for watching.
Hello and welcome to Business ABC. But the number one reason why businesses fail, whether they are starting or scaling or growing, is because of money. And when you go to them with an idea, they will always go, oh, great idea, oh, vadya. The best businesses either fix something or they make them better. Where it's legal or where it's contract, take your time.
सूरज के बदलते हुए तेवर के साथ मुल्क भर की तरह हवेली लखा और गिरदो नवा में भी गर्मी की शिद्दत में बेपनाह इजाफा हो गया। गर्मी की शिद्दत की वजह से शहरियों ने हवेली लखा रोड अड्डा हेड सुलेमान की, जिसे मुल्तान दिल्ली रोड भी कहा जाता है, सड़क किनारे लगे घने दरख्तों की छाँव के नीचे कैम मशरूबात पॉइंट का रुख कर लिया, जहाँ पर मुख्तलिफ़ किस्म की मशरूबात के पॉइंट कैम हैं। यहाँ पर गन्ने का रस, सिकंजबी, सरदियाई, सत्तू और इमली के शरबत समेत मुतद्दद मशरूबात के ठेले लगे हुए हैं। गर्मी की शिद्दत को कम करने के लिए यहाँ मशरूब पीने लोग जौक दर जौक आते हैं और ठंडे मशरूबात पीकर राहत महसूस करते हैं। हैड सुलेमान की इलाका की सरदियाई बहुत मशहूर है, जिसमें बादाम, खशखाश, सौंफ, ज़ीरा, छोटी इलाची, चार मगज़ और दीगर अशिया मिलाकर तैयार की जाती है। जो पीने वालों के लिए खुश ज़ैक़ा होने के साथ गर्मी की शिद्दत कम करके दिल को सुकून, ठंडक और राहत बख्शती है। रिपोर्ट शाद सईद वट्टू, नुमाइंदा साउथ एशिया, ग्लोबल टीवी, हैड सुलेमान की हवेली लखा।
आप लोगों ने पहले भी आवाज़ उठाई इस्लामाबाद में गैर बिजली के ख़िलाफ़, महंगाई के ख़िलाफ़, तो आप लोगों की आवाज़ सुनी नहीं गई।
देखिए, जमात इस्लामी ने महंगाई के ख़िलाफ़ और ख़ास तौर पर बिजली के बिलों में होश रुबा इजाफे के ख़िलाफ़ हमने आवाज़ बुलंद की थी।
300 यूनिट तक का उन्होंने कहा था कि हम सोलर सिस्टम देंगे।
हाँ जी,
कराची में, सिंध में देना शुरू किया हुआ, वहाँ वो हमारी हुकूमत है। पूरे पाकिस्तान में हमारी हुकूमत नहीं है।
टैक्स देना हर शख्स की जिम्मेदारी है, हर ताजिर की जिम्मेदारी है।
Hi, I'm Uma Malhotra and I welcome you to my show, Glow and Beyond with Uma Malhotra. Why should I get that facial? Why should I go for a rapid charge facial then an O3 facial? We do the research for you. So we make sure we give you the best. For example, you got fat lash. A client was allergic to fat lash, so I did a London lash patch test on her. She was absolutely fine with London lash. So I used the London lash.
The history of astrology and tarot cards is almost 2000 years old. Since the inception of mankind, man is in continuous search of heavenly bodies. Many of the astrologers chart the position of the stars in the sky to gain insight into human personality and even draw predictions about the future.
देखिए, एस्ट्रोलॉजी की अगर हम बात करते हैं तो एस्ट्रोलॉजी जो है वो कदीम इल्म रखता है, और आप देखें कि तारीख़ के दुराहों को लें तो यहूदी जो है इस इल्म को जो है वो बहुत मानते थे और मुख्तलिफ प्रिडिक्शंस आती होती थी। राहब जो है इसके ऊपर बड़ा यकीन रखते होते थे, और यहूदियों में बाज़ तो देखा गया है कि एस्ट्रोलॉजी को जो है वो अपने मज़हब का हिस्सा भी समझते हैं, उसको लेके चलते हैं। देखिए, जिस तरह मुख्तलिफ सितारों की अगर बात करते हैं, सियारा ज़ोहल है, जुपिटर है, तो ये 12 सितारे हैं या 9 सियारे हैं। ये जो सियारा है ये अल्लाह ताला की मखलूक है और ये एक रूह है। हर सितारे की अपनी एक रूह होती है, और वो जो रूह है वो हर बंदे के साथ एक डीलिंग करती है। मिसाल के तौर पे मैं अगर दाऊद हूँ तो मेरे ऊपर अगर सियारा मुश्तरी का असर है तो वो सियारा मुश्तरी जो मेरे साथ डीलिंग करता है वो अपनी रूह के मुताबिक करता है, या उसका मेरे करैक्टर के साथ क्या तल्लक है उसके मुताबिक उसकी ऊंच नीच होती है।
There are many astrologers around us. Some of them are experienced in their fields, while others do not demonstrate their effectiveness in controlled studies and has no scientific validity, which proves them pseudoscience.
यहीं तो एक मसला पैदा होता है कि एक एस्ट्रोलॉजर एक तरीके बदाई से बेहतरीन प्रिडिक्शन नहीं कर पाता। उसको करने के लिए मुख्तलिफ अलूमात का सहारा लेना पड़ता है। उसको किन अलूमात का सहारा लेना पड़ता है, जैसे कि मैं अगर एस्ट्रोलॉजी के ऊपर काम कर रहा हूँ तो मैं एस्ट्रोलॉजी से उसके तारीख बदाई से, उसकी डेट ऑफ बर्थ से उसका वक्त तो ले लूँगा, उसका सियारा तो पता कर लूँगा, मगर मुझे उसका नाम पता होना चाहिए। मैं उसके नाम से, न्यूमरोलॉजी से इल्म जफ़र एक बहुत बड़ा इल्म है, उससे मैं उसका इल्मुल अदाद से उसका नाम निकालूंगा, उसकी वालदा का नाम निकालूंगा। तो मैं इन तमाम चीज़ों के कम्बिनेशन से उसको न्यूमरोलॉजी से देखता हूँ कि इसकी जो पैदाइश है उस वक्त सितारा कौन सा था, इसके वालदा के असरात इसके ऊपर कैसे आए, इसकी अपनी शख्सियत कैसी है।
A masterstroke like Alan Leo, father of astrology, godmother of future-telling Baba Vanga, and Evangeline Adam have amazed the world by making many prophecies and prognostication. But there is still a blank space of deep understanding of the basic knowledge of astrology. The point to ponder is from where concept of astrology begins and on what basis do they make these prophecies.
बेसिकली तो ये जो इल्म है ये बुज़ुर्गों से वदीयत होता है और बुज़ुर्ग इसका बड़ा फ़ायदा उठाते थे। इस ही इल्म को उठाकर लोगों ने इसको साइंस की तरफ लेके आए। हकीकतन ये अल्लाह ताला ने इंसान को बहुत ज़्यादा ताकतों का, बहुत ज़्यादा पावर्स का मालिक बनाया। वो इंसान ही है जो अपनी ताकत के ज़ोर पर जो है वो 7 समुंदर पार के जो है मामलात को देख पाता है। मेरे सामने एक तस्वीर चल पड़ती है उस बंदे की, उसका करैक्टर चल पड़ता है। वो किस तरह का करैक्टर है, वो करैक्टर मेरे दिल पर जो है वदीयत होता है और कुछ उसके लिए मैंने तपस्या, इबादत और पढ़ाइयाँ, ज़िक्र अज़कार मुख्तलिफ किए हैं और ख़ासकर बुज़ुर्गों की अता है मेरे साथ।
It is believed that all the stars in our galaxy lighten our strong knowledge, and this divine knowledge influences the life of every individual, but it is still a mystery. This point actually forces to think that how a life of an ordinary person can be affected by a star which is billions miles away from this existing life zone.
देखें सितारों में ताकत किस तरह होती है। एक बंदे का सियारा मुश्तरी शरफ़े जो है शरफ़ में है और एक का मुश्तरी जो है वो ज़वाल में है। जो शरफ़ का मकाम है वहाँ पे आकर आपको मुख्तलिफ इबादतें, तपस्या और अपने वजद से और अपनी अंदर की ताकत से या बुज़ुर्गों की ताकत से ऐसे अमाल करने पड़ते हैं जिससे वो ताकत आपकी बढ़ जाती है। वो ताकत किस तरह की होती है? वो ताकत आपको दूसरों से मुनफरद करती है। वो ताकत आपको दूसरों से ऐसी शक्ति और ऐसी पावर लेके आती है जिससे आप लोगों की जो जिस तरह भविष्य या उसकी जो है उसका मुकद्दर, उसकी तकदीर और उसके ऊपर वो आप उसको पढ़ सकते हो।
لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا حي يا قيوم يا حي يا قيوم يا حي يا قيوم يا ذا الجلال والإكرام يا ذا الجلال والإكرام يا ذا الجلال والإكرام Miracle, 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 carnival, 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 carnival.
Ghosts are creatures about whom everyone has listened some stories and every holy book has mentioned about it. There are many movies on ghosts in multiple languages. That mean we believe that ghosts exist. But when it comes to how to control them or how to save humans from these creatures, we consider it a trickery.
जिन्नात की बुनियादी तौर पे दो किस्में हैं, अच्छे और बुरे। अच्छों में अब हम ये कह सकते हैं मुसलमान भी शामिल हैं, नॉन मुस्लिम भी हैं जो अच्छे हैं, और बुरों में मुकम्मल तौर पर बुरे वो हैं जो अल्लाह को नहीं मानते, यानी इस जहान के बनाने वाले को नहीं मानते। वो जो हैं वो जिन्नात, उनको बुरे जिन्नात में शुमार किया जाता है। उनके बारे में कहानियाँ घड़ी जाती हैं कि वो इंसानों को नुकसान पहुंचाते हैं। अब इन जो बुरे इंसानों में जो नुकसान पहुंचाते हैं वो उनको नाम दिया जाता है शयातीन का। असल में वो शैतान नहीं है, वो जिन्नों की ही अम्मार की कैटेगरी में आते हैं, लेकिन शैतान जो है वो उन्हें कंट्रोल कर लेते हैं।
The presence of ghosts is mentioned in all 4 holy books. There come several queries about the existence of ghosts. How much power does a ghost have? Or how ancient is this creature? Or how do they communicate with them? Where do they live?
वो इंसानी जहाँ ज़िंदगी जहाँ तक है, कितने फीट ऊपर, मसलन मीटर से हिसाब लगा लें तो 4 किलोमीटर ऊपर तक इंसान सांस ले सकता है, उसके बाद उसकी सांस दुश्वार हो जाती है, उससे ऊपर उनका आलम है। फिर इस ज़मीन से आउट भी कहीं तक भी जा सकते हैं, ज़मीन की हदूद से बाहर भी जा सकते हैं। उन्हें मूव करने के लिए, किसी ट्रैवल करने के लिए किसी सवारी की ज़रूरत नहीं होती, क्योंकि वो शफ़ाफ़ है। शफ़ाफ़ से मुराद कोई मादी जिस्म नहीं है उनका जिसको टच करें, पकड़ सकें, मसलन उससे कोई जिस्मानी ताल्लुक़ कायम कर सकें जैसा मशहूर है दुनिया में, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है, सब झूठ है।
In Quran, Surah Jinn, Allah Almighty clearly indicate the presence of ghosts. Also, what kind of powers do they have and to which extent these ghosts are related to the ordinary man?
सहाबी जिन ज़िंदा मौजूद हैं इस वक्त दुनिया में, बल्कि हज़रत ईसा के सहाबी भी मौजूद हैं। उनमें से एक जनाब ज़ाफ़र जिन है जो बहुत मशहूर है और मुख्तलिफ़ किताबों में उनके तज़किरे हैं। करबला के मैदान में भी जनाब ज़ाफ़र जिन मौला इमाम हुसैन अलैहिस्सलाम की खिदमत में आए थे। देखा कि उनके सामने बहुत बड़ा लश्कर है और ये मुख्तसर से अफराद हैं और उनके साथ जुल्म हो रहा है, ज़्यादती हो रही है। तो उन्होंने कहा कि हम आपकी मदद करना चाहते हैं, हमारी जो कुछ एक्स्ट्रा पावर्स हैं, हम अगर अल्लाह हमें इजाज़त दे, यानी अगर आप कहें तो हम एक्स्ट्रा पावर से आपको मदद मुहैया कर देंगे। अब यहाँ ये सवाल पैदा होता है कि मैंने आपसे पहले कहा कि जिन्नात नुकसान और फ़ायदा नहीं पहुँचा सकते, तो वो कैसे नुकसान पहुँचाते?
In Surah Imran, verse number 185, it is stated that every soul will taste the death. This is also mentioned in all holy books. In the same way, the ghosts have age and probably a day of resurrection will be fixed for their judgment.
जिन्नात के नॉर्मल उम्र जो है इस कैटेगरी की जिसके बारे में हम बात कर रहे हैं, वो औसत उम्र उनकी 1500 साल है, 2000 तक भी जाती है, 2500 साल तक भी जाती है। जो इनसे बड़ी किस्म है उनकी लाखों साल है, जैसे जो शैतान है, जैसे इफ़रीत है, उनकी बहुत ज़्यादा एज है, यानी उनकी ज़िंदगियाँ लंबी है। जो जिन जिन्नात के बारे में हम बात कर रहे हैं, जो इस दुनिया में इंसान के साथ अल्लाह ने उन्हें इबादत पर मामूर किया है, वो जिन्नात जो हैं उनकी औसत उम्र 1500 साल है। वैसे कुछ जिन्नात के बारे में मालूम हुआ है